Just checking in, and we're going to get started shortly. A couple of minutes early so everybody can find us. Alrighty. So just going to have that on there so you can see what the time is, and we will start at 7. And I can see that Liz has joined us. Hi, Liz. Are you freezing, Liz? Because it is certainly very chilly in my craft room today. Hi, Maria. Glad you could make it. Chilly, chilly. Have to warm up my hands. I need one of those hand warmers. Hi, Debbie. Everybody's just popping on. Give it another minute. Hi, Darlene. He did have to put on the heat, Liz. Yeah, we've had the heat on actually for probably a week or so now. Hi, Caroline. Caroline. Yeah, it's been pretty cold here. I don't know. I'm just in Pickering, but I think being on the ravine, it doesn't help because we get the winds. So, get a portable heater. Yeah, I have several portable heaters. The problem is I have no place to put them. And that's not a conversation that would be quick enough for this live feed. November is Clean My Craft Room month. So, yeah. Needless to say, there's not lots of room in here at the moment. Okay, we're at 8 o'clock, so we are going to close that and get a start. So November is tag month. So we are going to show you a number of ways to use tags, but also a number of different ways to make tags. Tonight I've chose to use my punch board, my tag punch board. I love this because you pretty much can make any size tag you want with any angle of edging you want, and it also has a little punch here for a hole. So it's pretty versatile, and it's the one I use the most. It's the one that helped me create, and I'll just show you really quickly, these tags that I just made out of my old scrap paper. So I did it all using the tag punch, and the only thing I did do was to make the holes bigger, because this tag punch hole is just that little small black thing in the middle there. And so for larger tags, you really do need to have a standard hole punch to make the hole. But the nice thing is you can make the hole with the hole punch on the tag maker, and then just go around it later with, so you have it centered with another hole punch. So I've been playing around with, for many months actually, with card pockets. That is gift card pockets. And so I've got a couple that I've made here. This one is an actual tag that I've folded, and I'll show you how to do that. The attacher is slits on either side, and you just slide your cup, your card top, and it slips underneath. And I've also added some epoxy to those berries, pop dotted the sentiment, and it's 2 tags together. So a smaller tag that I've scalloped the edges on top of a larger plain edged tag. This one is kind of a cute little one as well. It's a plain edge tag that I've created a little pocket out of, and so a sentiment, who it's from, will go in there, and up here we have the actual sentiment on the card, and then you just pop your card out. So these are a kind of fun, quick and easy, down and dirty little tags that you can make. And oops. The hardest part about making these tags is tying the bows, believe it or not. So that's a couple of the things. I'll tie that later. So that's one quick demo I wanted to make for you. This is a Christmas card I made using tags and turning them into envelopes, very much in the same way that these are created as envelopes. And I've done very small ones on this one, and through the little hole that originally attached where you originally put a string in to hang the tag, I've just pulled through a bow, and then on this one I added some fluffy stuff because I wanted it to feel like the fluffy stuff was coming out, pouring out of the envelope, and it's just tacked there. And then this one I decided not to have a hole, and I just put a little heart on there. I use the same sentiment, but on this sentiment I actually surrounded it with some matching material, paper, and then stamped it. So a couple of things. So the first thing I think I want to start with is the gift card maker. And so to start with a gift card maker, we have a piece of paper that is 3 3/4 by, I think it is 5 3/4. So we have 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. If you plan to use a border punch to create a bordered edge to it, I don't know if you can see that so clearly, but that is a punched edge. You're going to have to make this bigger, so you're going to have to add 1/4 inch on both sides, and if you plan to have it in the fold over part, you need to add another 1/4 inch for each side that you add the border punch edge. So again, the measurement of the plain edge is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now I'm going to get my little scoreboard that I use for my card making, and I'm going to I've got 2 of these guys with the holly on the outside, so I'm going to do the stripe this time. For the card maker, I am scoring at 1 3/4 inches, just lightly, don't go through the paper, and then again at 4 inches. So my first score line is 1 3/4 inches, and then it's at the 4 inch mark. And that gives me the perfect slot for a card. Bring that up so you can see my score, maybe not. There you go. There's the score line there and the score line down here. So it leaves plenty of room, and also plenty of room on either side to do the gluing. So I've got my scores on there at 1 3/4 and 4. And now I'm just going to fold those back and make sure they line up and give that a good crease with my bone folder. And make sure these line up and give them a good crease. Now, I want on this top edge, I want to cut my little bits of corners off. Now, this actually will fit. So if you're doing an edge to a piece that has extra paper on it because you're going to do the scallop edging or some kind of edging, you will find that it may not fit in here. So all you do is you cut it in 2 directions. So let's say it was too big to fit here. So I would take my scoreboard and line it up with the angle that I wanted. This is your angle coming across. So that would be the angle. And I would cut as much of the paper as I could cut on this side. Then I'd simply move it up, line it up with one of the other lines into where that cut mark is, and then finish the cut. That's all I would do. But as you can see, you can get a good you can probably get a 3 3/4 inch paper through here, which is what I'm using right now. So in this top edge, so this edge here was, this fold here was 1 3/4. The top fold ends up being 1 3/4 as well, and it leaves you a little space at the bottom. So I'm going to go in and I am going to choose, I think I want to choose B. On your scoreboard you have letters. So let me see if I can turn that light off. You have letters going up the side of the scoreboard. There you go. So you figure out which letter has the right angle and the right distance in from the top edge, and that's the one you're going to use. And really, it is all personal preference. I happen to like B for larger tags, and so I line it up with the line that's on there for B. And if I can show you there, so there's my B line, and it helps me align my tag so I get the exact measurement. And I pop this is your station to keep your blade in. The blade has a post and a blade, and it just simply sits in the track. You want to be careful not to create any tension with the blade against the track, because it will cut the plastic if you're not careful. And I can't cut all the way through, so I get to show you how I'm going to finish that cut. So you can see that I've only cut partially through. So now I just bring it to a place, line it up, and I have my excess paper on top of the cutter, and I just line it up with another line, close my thing down, put my blade in again, and finish the cut. So it's no big deal. You can cut 12 by 12 paper if you want to. It's just awkward. All right, so I'm going to do B again. And go as far as I can. And then I'm going to go up, find a line, line up my cut in with the groove that I'm able to use for the blade. Doesn't help when your glasses are fuzzy. Pop this down and just finish the cut. And there's my edges. So when I close, I can see my edges. Now, if you are interested in making it more visible, you can always do some edging on the actual card along the top surface so that you can see that edging. And what I mean is using your ink and your dauber or your sponge applicator, whichever. You can use antiquing colors, like this is a sort of a sandy color. And then what I'm going to do is go all the way along my outer edges. So it looks like it's been a little bit aged along the folded edge. That ends up being the first thing you see, so that I can distinguish it from the bottom, because with this pattern, when they cross, you don't really get to see much, and with the little bit of antiquing I have on there, it helps you distinguish the line better. So there's one more thing we need to do before we move into our next step, and that is we need to thread through the string. So I'm going to use, I can use green or red. I have green or red. I think I'm going to use green on this one. And I am going to just mark the halfway point with a pencil, just very lightly on the top and on the bottom. Then I'm going to take my pointy scissors. I'm going to cut just a little snip. You can't even see the snip that I've cut there. And I'm going to do a 45-degree angle from that snip and a 45-degree angle from the other side from that snip. And what that does is it gives me a location for my thread to go through, and also for it to hold like a bit of a ridge. So that's where I end up, is that little hole right there. Okay, so I turn this over, do the same thing. Very, very small. You don't need a lot, because it's just got to be big enough to thread it through, and then to be able to be a notch for it to sit in. Alrighty, now I am going to measure this against my previous one, and then I'll tell you how long it is, because I forgot to measure it before I put it on. Okay. And use nice scissors with your thread. You want it to be cut cleanly. So this measures, the string that goes around is more or less measuring 12.5 inches. And now I'm just going to poke that through from the inside on the bottom. And it doesn't matter if I catch it all or just a little bit, because you can wiggle it through. There we go. Oh, she said. Let me pull that out again. Sometimes it doesn't work on screen, of course. The other thing you could do is you could stiffen it with some glue, or you can, there we go, poke it through with something. Now this one, may be a bit of a problem because it's not nicely cut like the last one. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to trim that. There we go. And I'm just going to put it through as best I can. And when it starts to bunch up, I get myself a pencil and I poke that stuff through, and then it pulls through. All right, now the thing you want to do is tie it before you anchor it. So we are going to have it in the right order, and I want it to tie below the sentiment. Or maybe I don't care. Maybe I'm gonna try something different with this one. On the other one, I had it tie below the sentiment so that I had the longer piece of thread at the top and the shorter at the bottom, or the shorter at the top, the longer at the bottom, and it all worked out that the bow was in this section. But I think I'm going to put my sentiment over top. I still want this to tie towards the bottom, so I'm going to make sure that I have more at the bottom than at the top, so that when I make the bow, that, okay, so this part has to be longer because I'm now going to make a loop with one side and then wrap around and loop with the other side. So that string has to be slightly longer. And you'll figure it out, a couple of tries and you'll have it. So this is about where I'm going to see my bow sit, which is perfect. So now over top of this, I'm going to end up with my sentiment, whereas before I had my sentiment and my ribbon came right over. Now all I did was just attach the up at the top, I just put a little bit of tape just to hold it tight. So I'm going to do that again, but first I'm going to get my sentiment on there. So I've stamped a bunch of sentiments on some white cardstock already, and I'm just going to cut that off with my mini trimmer, because you don't need a big trimmer to do all that. And I am just going to trim that down to equal on all sides. There we go. And there's my trimmer, my trimmed piece, and it's just going to sit on top. Before I do that, I'm going to take my We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder, and on the smallest rounder, I'm just going to take, or not, what's going on there? Take the corners off so it's a little bit different than straight. Okay, and then it just has many little corner rounding. Alrighty, so now pop dots are in order. So I get the pop dots on there. I'm only going to use 2 because it's not very heavy, and my string is going to go down the center. If you're coming in now and you've missed this part of the demo, don't worry about it. It will be online and available. And I'm just going to center that right there over top of my ribbon or my string. Now I'm going to open it up, put a tiny piece of tape. It's best if you have some tape that won't yellow and dry. You can use repositionable tape, that tends to be pretty good, or an actual photo tape is good. There, now that's not going to shift, and now I'm going to do my sides. So I get my super duper sticky craft tape, and from my score line on the front to the edge, I just rip it off. Score line to the edge and ripping it off. I just use the, I think that's 1/8 inch size, because you don't want too big a gift card. Well, I don't anyway. I like hanging them in the tree so they look nicer when they're smaller. So now I have my pocket that goes in there. This can slip inside there. Okay, I close it up and I tie my bow. just a little. There we go. I like it looking nice, nicely shaped. So if I've got some frays at the end, I just trim that off. And hope it stays. There we go. And there's my gift card made out of a tag, with the tag, using the tag cutter. Now I'm going to show you quickly how to use this, and I've got myself a regular 5.5 by 4 1/4 card. I've cut down a piece of background to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to stick that down. I'm just going to do that with adhesive. And it's going to give me about maybe a 1/16 of an inch all the way around, maybe a little more. Yeah, maybe an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, so you can see my card now. Now, I am using paper that is 1 3/4 by 3. So they're all cut at 1 3/4 by 3, and I have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have a special one that is different than the others because I like to work in odd numbers. And this one I put through an embossing folder, so it's going to be an actual envelope, turn into an envelope, but it will be embossed. So you can also do that with your little envelopes that you're making. Now for this size, I like to use I on the cutter. Make sure again that you're just trimming. So you keep it lined up with the side. Okay. So there's one card. And now I'm going to do the others as well, and they're all going to be the same. Now you could go to a point on this rather than making them all identical. You could go to a point, and then you would have like a pointy envelope. Okay, there's another one. And here's another one. Maybe I'll make this one a point. So a point is actually going to be halfway between J and K, if I'm not mistaken. That should give me a point. J. There we go. And I'm going to try that again. Now, I have not done this before, so we will see how that affects my embossing. Whoops. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. If you ever need to clear out this section, find something that I can use the back of my scissors, not the sharp edge, but the other side, the back side, to drag through and clean out any paper that gets stuck in there. that if you use the front side that is sharp, you will cut into it. Oops. It'll end up cutting into the plastic. It is only plastic after all. Okay. And then let's do halfway. There we go. So I have two pointy, two non-pointy, and then this special one that's non-pointy. Make sure you put your blade back in its little holder, and that goes in your drawer. It's very compact. And now we're going to get our small scoreboard for card making. And these ones are going to be, let's see, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I didn't write down where that needed to score. Okay, so let me just have a quick look here. So these ones are scoring at 1. No, these are going to score at 1 1/4. You should always put your bone folder back in the bone folder slot. So 1 1/4, and then right at where you have your cutaway is the second place. And then when you fold it up, it should all fit together. Again, you may want to, actually I want it down a little bit from there. Sorry, I've changed my mind. I'm going to bring it down slightly on the next one. I can't really do it with this one. Okay, so I'm going to do some edging on this because it is kind of hard to see, especially the flap. And this one is going to be closed, so I want it to be visible. Okay. So now you can see the flap a little better. It's got some antiquing on it. And I'm going to take this, and from the fold on the inside to the edge, and this doesn't matter because we're not using it as an actual envelope, so you don't have to be right at the edge to leave space. You can put it pretty much anywhere as long as it sticks. Not like what I just did. There we go. So you fold that one over, and then you get a little piece for across the top. And I'm not putting any holes in this one because these are going to be little mini envelopes. Okay, so there's one. And now I'm going to do the second one. The second one I'm going to do slightly different. I'm going to do 1 and something's popped up on my computer. There we go. I'm going to do 1 and 1/8 rather than 1 1/4. And then I'm going to do at 2 3/8. And now I'm going to fold those back. Does that, yeah, still gives me the same width, but what it's done is it's given me a little bit of depth there. I got a bit of a drop down. This one goes right into the corner here, and this one goes 1/8 of an inch down from the corner. It just looks a little more like an envelope. Alrighty, so again, quickly, doing all the edges. Putting on your adhesive. Whoop. Making sure that it's nicely put down. Folding that over. putting a piece across the top. So there's number 2 envelope. So we have 2 little envelopes now. And if I can see if you can see the difference in the edges. You see this one drops down a bit and that one goes right up into the top. I like it better dropping down a little bit. All right, so here we are again. These guys are pointy. I am going to do this at 1 inch or 1 1/8 inch and 2 inches. Nope, can't do that. Sorry, 1 inch and 2 inches. Otherwise they will not fold up. These are a little bit longer because of, oops, they're more of a business envelope size. Okay, but that's cool. This one, they're mostly the same size, and this one I've decided to try something a little different, and that was because I cut, if you remember, a steeper slope on my sides to make a point in the center, and it took some of the length of it with it. So this is why it's cool to play around with these ideas before you're ready to do something specific. You want to make sure that you don't run into troubles. For me, this card, it doesn't really matter. Now, because this is a pointy one, I'm putting my adhesive down the center to keep that point down. Alrighty. And I push just a little too hard, so the fold is a little bit off. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Give this a little bit of aging, but we can still do it, just have to do it differently. There we go. And there we go. And there's my business envelope size. So doing that again, we are going to do it at 1 inch, not too hard, and 2 inches, not too hard. Folding it in, folding it in. That one went perfect. And edging the edges so it stands out a little bit. Alrighty, there we go. Just putting, you don't need tape all the way along the sides because you're just going to fold them up to each other anyway. So that's why I just use a tiny bit of tape. And keep that closed. Piece right down the center to make sure I get that point in there so it doesn't lift. Alrighty. And there's our other business envelope. So we have 2 letter envelopes. They look like A4 or A5 cards, and 2 business envelopes. And now we're going to work with this one. So this one we are going to do 1 1/8, not too hard. This is made out of cardstock. It's a little bit easier. And 2 3/8. And you can see by the score lines that leaves us that little square edge there, like an invitation or a card envelope. And we're going to fold them over. Now, I have a very rough edge on one side. This came out of my junk pile. I think I'm just going to glue this down rather than have snow coming out of it. And I might put an extra bit of tape down the center of this one because it is heavier cardstock. And I want to make sure that it's going to stay closed. A little too much there. Alrighty. There we go. And I'm going to rip this inside piece out because it will just cause me problems with gluing. Now, this is going to be difficult to see, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of edging on here. It's not quite white, so it might be okay for it to look a little bit antique. And maybe just a bit across the top. There we go. So now you can see that edge when it's flat a little better. Slightly antiqued. Alrighty. So we're going to put a piece of tape right across there and close it up. There's our 5 envelopes. I'm going to get rid of a few things here. So my envelopes are going to play crisscrossing from each other. Something like this. So you can see a little bit of the and I'm going to have my sentiment here. So let me get my sentiment mounted. Yeah. I know I cut another sentiment. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. Just going to cut that off that scrap piece of paper that I stamped it on. And make it nice and tightly cut, so that I don't use up too much space on the card. There we go. And I am going to edge that as well. Keep it in the same family of colors. And I might go in a little bit deeper on this one. There we go. And we're going to pop dot it there. And the cool thing about making these envelopes is that you're using up stuff from other card making adventures. So it's a great use for those extra little strips of paper. This, I think, was from a card class I did with Sherry, and it had a sweater card class, and so now I'm able to use up the leftover papers with this card. And this is going to need a little bit more. And I don't have them all sort of at the same angle. Some are going straighter, some are going more crooked. And there we go. Okay, now what I want to do is bling these, the little pockets. Each of the little pockets needs a gem, and I thought I had brought my gems out, but I may not have brought my gems out. So I have another idea. I am going to do Sparkly Nouveau. If I have Sparkly Nouveau, yes. I have the red Christmas one. It's autumn red. And this, yep, here we go. This does not look like red in the bottle because the bottle has got a slightly white hue, but it is red glitter. And I am going to create red glitter buttons. And when you're applying Nouveau, you make sure you do not touch the paper, and you just build up your button and it will self-level. So if you can see my buttons on there, and they will be sparkly, and oh, that looks a little crooked. I feel like it might be crooked because of the stripes. Anyway, that is it. So let me just lay out a few things. Mush down that guy there. So we have our card we created together tonight, and another option using a bit of fluffy stuff because I have not finished my fluffy stuff adventures yet. Then we have a couple of Christmas gift cards using tags. Let me just tie this up very quickly. So there's that one. There's the one we created today. And then here is another one. So this was our demo for today. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you have any questions or any comments, please put them into the comments under the video. I am going to get back to all of you. Usually when I'm on video, I can't respond unless I'm just waiting for things to start. So all of the products that are here are from the mirror card. Everything is from Papercrafter's workshop. The sentiment is not. I don't know where that is from, and that was a while ago, so it's not necessarily new. And the glossy accents. I don't know if you can get Nouveau Holiday Sparkle anymore, but Nouveau has all kinds of options. And of course the tag cutter, which gives you quite a bit of flexibility beyond what your tag dies allow you. And then a small cutter and a small, not embossing, scoreboard. Those are all available through the Papercrafter's workshop. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I guess I will see you. I don't know if we're doing one next month. Perhaps we are. Well, you'll know when I know. So we'll see you later. Thanks so much for joining us.